Hi, everybody. It's another edition of Facebook Live Friday. This is the first time we've done this from the computer. We're desperately hoping that I guess I can find out if you can hear us or not. Because the little thing is up there saying that we're live. Oh, okay.
All right.
All right. So, okay, this is Friday the 6th of March. This is our third edition of Facebook Live Friday, and we wanted to use this one to talk about some stories that have been really seem to connect with everybody this week that we posted. The first one is about these two gentlemen here. These gentlemen are
I want this one.
they are line workers with Georgia Power, and they rescued these three puppies they found that had been tossed in a dumpster, and which is just terrible thing to do. And fortunately, they were able to rescue the puppies. And I believe there's actually a third line worker involved who helped with this, but these are the two gentlemen who were featured in that story. And they took them to the Northeast Humane Society of Northeast Georgia to be cared for and eventually adopted out. And I spoke with, I've got her email right here, a lady named Dominique Bartolo, who is with the Humane Society of Northeast Georgia, to just ask her how the dogs are doing and any other information she could provide. Excuse me. She tells me that the puppies are doing well and will be available for adoption soon. And once the dogs are available to be adopted, she says, we will post an update once our medical and adoption teams give the okay for the puppies to move into the adoption room. So
a lot of times that's because they need to do shots and stuff.
Right.
And they'll make sure that the dogs can't reproduce. You know, that's just what they do.
Yeah.
To help cut down on pet population.
Right. So that's good news. We're glad to hear that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. One thing I was curious about, and we have not been able to find this out for sure, is have they been able to figure out who it is that dumped these puppies? I personally would like to see that person identified and
charged.
Yes, thank you.
But in Alabama, we just passed the law that to protect animals and bring criminal charges up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know the law in Georgia if that's something that can be done, but we have not been able to determine that the person who abandoned the puppies has been found. So, but anyway, just great job by these two guys who were in the right place at the right time and got those puppies rescued and taken care of. And
ew, what's this?
That's the third story.
We've got one more?
Yes, we have a second story we want to talk about. Of course, the terrible storms up in Tennessee this week. Loss of life. Last I read, there were still people missing, including some children. And it's a terribly sad story. And our best wishes to everybody up in Tennessee who's having to deal with this, who's having to rebuild.
It was an EF4, right?
I believe there were two tornadoes actually, an EF4 and an EF5. Don't quote me on that, obviously, but anyway, it's it's just a terrible thing that happened up there. An aspect of that story of the recovery and restoration is the fact that a significant number of people lost power because of the storms.
Do we have anybody going up?
No, and that was a question that was asked to us because if you've been following our pages, or if you've lived in Huntsville for a while, you know that there have been times following natural disasters that Huntsville Utilities has deployed our own crews to go assist with power restoration.
Yeah, we send people all over the place.
Right. We did not do that this time, and we did have some people ask us why. So we wanted to take a minute to explain to you how the system works. It's referred to as mutual aid, and if a natural disaster of some sort takes place in a particular area, they can request that utility companies who are part of the mutual aid network, which we are, send crews. We were on standby to go if requested. That assistance was not requested. Not requested of us. From what I have read, there were a couple of closer utilities that provided assistance. And so it's not that nobody went up to help. But in order for a utility to send crews, they have to be asked. And that's just for scheduling, for logistics, to make sure that you just don't have too many people up there helping. Of course, you want all the help you can get. But in this particular case, we did not, even though we did let it be known that we were available, and I say we, our line crews were available to assist.
We don't let Todd restore power.
Yeah, they don't even let me turn on the light switches sometimes. They did not request our assistance, and so that's why Huntsville Utilities did not send anybody up there. So that's how the mutual aid network works. We have provided assistance before. We have been the recipients of assistance, most notably after the April 27th tornadoes a few years ago. So that was the second story. Do you have anything you want to add to that? That pretty much covers it. No. The third story that we posted this week that you guys really seem to enjoy and talk about a lot was this. This is a hot water heater. And I want to say one thing first. I saw this photo on a website called eBaum's World. And one person had a comment that, wow, eBaum's World, is that even a thing anymore? Yes, it is. eBaum's World is still out there. It's probably not as big a thing as it used to be, but it is still out there. Anyway, this was part of a gallery of photos that showed things that had been cut in half. And this, in this particular case, is a water heater, obviously, or a hot water heater if you want to drive people crazy sometimes, that has been damaged over a long period of time by sediment and minerals and such that have built up over time. Now, what we mentioned when we posted this picture was that it is recommended that you periodically drain the water out of your water heater to prevent this kind of buildup over time. One person asked how often you should do this. From the questions that we've asked, getting follow-ups to that, at least once a year is what we were told. I guess if you live in an area, outside of Huntsville, you're probably not watching this, so it doesn't matter. Unless you're related to one of us. We might have relatives somewhere watching this. I don't know. But anyway, it's a very easy thing to do. We posted, it takes about 5 minutes, really. You'll probably spend more time sitting there waiting for all the water to drain out than you will actually doing anything. It's a very simple thing to do. We posted a link, I believe it was to DIYnetwork.com that explains how to do it. Really, all you need is a garden hose and I guess a chair to sit in while it drains. But it's a very easy thing to do. It really is one of those things you can do yourself, even if you don't think you are particularly handy with doing things. You can do this.
Well, and don't do it right before you need to take a shower.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, don't drain your water heater and then go jump in the shower, because
that's not going to be good.
That's not going to end well for you, because you will of course need for it to fill back up.
And notify your family members, because they might get upset.
Or don't, and just sit back and watch the fun.
Oh, I have a 13-year-old that would not be happy if she went.
Yeah, but
that would go
you
bad.
Got to admit it'd be fun.
Yeah.
What's the point in having kids if you can't mess with them a little bit?
Right.
Okay, so that's our wrap up for this week. We actually have a meeting that's starting in less than 1 minute that we have to get off to. But thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you can comment. We'll answer them next week. We don't know what next week's topic is going to be yet, and you may just have a comment or a question that will Well, my
Send
head is
us-
shiny.
Yeah, well, we got to work on lighting. This is our first time
I'm
doing
sitting
this
right
in the
under a
studio,
light, I
so
think.
thanks for thanks for
Anyway,
indulging
yeah,
us.
okay. So those are the three things we wanted to talk about. Thank you guys for following us and for commenting on these stories. Any other comments or questions you have, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you and answer your questions, give you some more information. And that's all I got. You got anything else?
That's it.
All right.
See you next
We
week.
will see you next week. Bye.